We are very proud and very grateful to have been together with you today. I'd like to make some closing comments and then give you some logistics relative to the convention center, and then we'll gavel out and head our own way. Before I do, I'd like to express my personal thanks also to Ken Luongo. He was a wonderful partner in this. I agree with him that this is absolutely a historic occasion, and I think it is one that you all should also be proud to be a part of. This is a first-of-a-kind event, but let us hope it is not a last-of-a-kind event. It will continue. I know we have encountered, both Ken and I, resistance in each of our communities to holding this. At the end of this, it's hard for me to see why, but we did. I heard a bad joke at one point that civil society considered industry uncivil or incivil society, but we know that's not true, right? But we have found common ground. I think there was a lot said by the panelists in their presentations and in the questions that you asked that surely would commend that our two communities continue to work together. And I want to reiterate my thanks, Ken, to you. And it was a real pleasure working with you. You know, there was one question that wasn't asked. Ken and I were looking at the questions, but it's truly a foundational question. So I'm going to ask it here, maybe in a rhetorical fashion, because you, I think, are key to answering this too. After this week, do you think the movement toward greater nuclear security will get stronger, or do you think it will get weaker? Why? So I'm not going to answer that question, but I would suggest that that be a question that we all ponder together and that we work towards. I have experience only in the civil nuclear industry, and of course I think the move towards improvement, raising of the bar, constant attention to detail and conduct of operations and excellence in all we do is something that would lead me to a certain conclusion. But I commend that question to you. I think it's fundamental to why we are here. What I can say, and I speak only for the industry here, that yesterday it was very evident about the industry's commitment to nuclear security. Our working groups delved into great detail on what nuclear security means to us, what are the operational aspects of it, how do we get better, what do we need to do to get better, what are the differences between us in a number of critical areas. Continuous improvement is something that, it's just an article, it's something we practice every day in the nuclear industry, and that applies to nuclear security without question. Marv mentioned, and I'm gonna sort of underline, just 3 and a half hours ago, about 24 of us from the industry got together, and we talked about what the industry needs to do to move this forward. And we talked about what future steps should be. What are the priorities that we should work? You know, you can't do everything at once, so what are the priorities? How do we integrate with other organizations? And I would add, apropos to this meeting, other communities such as the communities that are here today. How do we fit into the action plans that we're going to see come out of the summit, the 5 different action plan areas, and identify which of those issues that industry can undertake. What was very important is that they are outcomes-based. That's sort of how we do business on the industrial side, and so having measures and objectives and things we can compare ourselves against was a theme that came up in that meeting. but commitment to international institutions, commitment to processes that are in effect, but also invention of new ones that really all enhance barriers and enhance the ability of our and safeguards to and for our nuclear processes. I want to therefore say that this has been a tremendous opportunity for all of us who have worked on it. I hope this was a good conference for you. We can be sure that complacency, which is the enemy of nuclear safety and nuclear security, is something that can never be allowed to happen. It is when we are complacent, it is when we think everything's okay, that it is not. That is when your personal alarm should be ringing the loudest. Our communities have discrete, but I would say connected responsibilities. Each of us have the ability to be a catalyst for the other and to government. You know, we each do some things really well and a lot of things not so well. And we need to focus on those things and get better. But we can catalyze each other to take action. We have a symbiotic relationship, all three communities, government, industry, and civil society. With that, I'd like to make some closing remarks and say that we'd like to, we owe some thank yous. Where do I point this? First and maybe even foremost, Mark, thank you so much, my friend, for moderating our panels yesterday and today. You did a great job keeping us on track and made our discussions interesting and moving forward, and I thanked Jen earlier. I also want to thank our wonderful conference staff. That includes those of you from Conference Inc. You did a great job making us do a great job. But the number of people that we had to enlist from all walks of life in NEI to do many things. And for some of you, it's the first time I've seen you in a suit and tie. It's amazing. I didn't know some of you clean up so well. I also want to give a special shout out to our Board of Advisors. Over a 2-year process led by Jack Edlow, but particularly beginning in September of last year, we came together as a pretty large group of very senior executives. You can imagine it's a bit like herding cats sometimes to get agreement on what we should do. Marv talked about the joint communique. I commend that to you to have a look at it. So thanks to the Board of Advisors. And of course, the working groups. The working groups for us were really the guts, heart, and soul of the Industry Summit, in my view. They covered 3 topics: cyber, managing of strategic materials, which expanded this year to include radiological materials, something Sam Nunn talked in great detail to us in his introductory remarks yesterday. And so we will post, if they're not posted already, they are posted already on the NIS2016.org website. Have a look at those. We were asked about the slides. The slides will also be posted. They may be up there already. Have a look at that. That is available to you. So thanks to the working groups. They really did the work. But the work is not possible without funding, and I want to express personal appreciation to our sponsors. Here, Exelon, Korea Hydro, NEI, and Westinghouse were diamond sponsors. Platinum sponsors, Urenco, Edlow, International Nuclear Services, Centrus, and CNNC. And finally, Hitachi, NAC, and Kazatomprom, who also were valuable partners in this endeavor. With that, I would like to gavel close this summit. I'd like to thank each and all of you for your contribution, but most of all for your time. In today's world, time is the most precious commodity we have, and you have donated yours to it. So thank you again, and I hope to see you soon.